let's get started. We're at the September Planning and Zoning meeting for Mexico Beach. As we've said before, it's a volunteer group made up of citizens of Mexico Beach. We have a new member, Jennifer Ward, who will be joining us as an alternate to start with. And typically our alternates seem to move up pretty quickly. So.
Don't miss a meeting.
Right. So that's great. And would you please call the roll?
I sure will. Dr. Miller? Dr. Miller?
Here.
Sorry. Miss Lindsay?
Here.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Here.
Mr. Driver?
Here.
Mr. Master?
Here.
And Miss Ward?
Here.
Okay, great. On the agenda tonight, we've got minutes from the July 12th meeting. And you guys had a chance to look at these, and you want to do it towards the end. Okay. I didn't see anything that was out of place or whatever. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the July 12th meeting?
I move we accept the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay. All right. So moved. And let's get right into the agenda. We have the development order request, the final for.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Did you take a vote, or after you had the second? Did you?
To approve the minutes.
Oh, no, we didn't. Tammy?
Dr. Miller? We're going to approve. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Miss Lindsay?
Yes.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Driver?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Miss Ward?
Yes.
I like them already, so keep us in line.
We were looking at each other, so it worked out.
Would you introduce yourself? Give us a little background.
Sure. My name is Doug Baber. I'm the new city administrator as of today. It's my first day. Mario is working until the Wednesday, so he'll be here, so we're kind of crossing paths a little bit, which helps out a lot. Generally, you don't get a chance to hear from the person that was leaving and learn the things that they did over the years, so it's really been beneficial. I come from St. Lucie County. Prior to here, I was working in local government for over almost 16 years so far, and I really had an opportunity to come here, and I jumped all over it. I really enjoyed the interview with the council members, and it just seemed like we hit it off. Some of the things that you guys have done here to recuperate in the last 3 years, I believe the 3-year anniversary is coming up early next month, and I'm sure that all close to your all's hearts. But I remember sitting in the EOC in St. Lucie County and hearing how we just couldn't get in touch with you guys anymore. Like we just kept calling your district and nobody would answer. And I got to chill thinking about how crazy it had to be. And for me to come here in the tail end of it, after you guys have been through so much, with so many more things that we can do, I'm just very excited. The opportunity for a possibility of a new police and fire station, for a civic center, so we're not sitting in here, we're in someplace else, or things that we could do with the pier. That pier design is amazing. So to be a part of some of those things, I'm really looking forward to it. My background's in HR and compensation, as well as finance and administration. So hopefully I can help you guys. I did work in development services for a year, so I have a little bit of background there, but only enough to get in trouble from.
Good. You have a family?
I do, yes, sir. I have my wife. She's a teacher. She'll be able to continue teaching. She teaches online, and I have 2 children: Reagan, who is 7, and Callahan, who's 3. So they'll all be moving here shortly. We got to take care of our house there first, but that's the game.
Great.
So I look forward to be part of the community. Thank you very much.
Welcome. We're very glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to open the public discussion on the development on Highway 98 west of Salt Creek. Do we have a representative here to tell us if anything's changed from last time you were here? And kind of for the folks that might not have been here last time, just give us an executive summary overview.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Short. I'm from Dewberry. I'm here representing St. Joe Company for this agenda item, which is a development order for 32 unit phase of residential homes as part of the overall town-village development. For those of you who may not be aware of the history of this, I'm gonna kind of cover this briefly, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. We approached the city with a planned unit development. It's a mix of uses. It's on the north and south side of 98. This property was annexed into the city. It is both, this is nice, it's a pivoting easel. The kind of orientation here to help you is that this is the existing boat ramp parking area, the existing canal, and then over here is Salt Creek. So you see a portion of the development is further west of Salt Creek, and then a portion of the overall planned unit development is east of Salt Creek and north of the canal. We went through, laid out this plan. You know, we shifted some stuff around based on the concerns of the citizens, and settled on this overall plan. In this plan, the green areas represent single-family residential. The purple areas are townhome units. The light yellow color, those are apartment complex units. And the orangish yellow, that's commercial. Now, there's a couple of things. This plan has not changed. It remains the same for what was there before. This is what I would call, I guess, maybe just a tracking map for discussion purposes. And what we've done is we've added another hatch. It's kind of the gray area. And we covered the Mexico Beach Crossings apartments and the Town Village Townhomes Phase 1 with that gray hatch, meaning those have both previously come to the city and received approval for the development order. So those are what have been approved. And ideally, if this continues, we'll be adding that shaded area to each thing, so it kind of clarifies and focuses your attention. And this outline in red here is what we are currently proposing. This is west of the approved Town Village Townhomes, and actually will share the entrance road here and have its own secondary access as well. So this is the first phase of the Town Village Townhomes that was approved, and directly west from that entrance road are the 32 units that we brought before you today. In addition to the 32 residential units, we have the infrastructure improvements. We have a lift station proposed, and it will connect to the force main that is being installed as part of the townhomes and the crossings. We also have stormwater and acre and a half park that is being dedicated to the public. That was part of the conditions of the PUD approval is the review for public facilities, providing parks for the public. So that's kind of where we stand with everything right now. Again, nothing has changed with the layout of the planned unit development. This is just as a way of providing something for discussion purposes to show you where we're talking tonight and what has previously been approved.
I have a question about the park, if I can.
Yes.
On that acre and a half that you carved out for that, is there anything specific that's going to be on it? Have you discussed that?
We do not have a specific layout, any kind of design for the park. It is being graded. It's going to be an open area and it'll be dedicated to the public eventually when we'll get together and figure out kind of a layout of what trails or paths or other improvements be in there. Hey, you could probably get something in there. It's not the right dimensions for a baseball field, but so that's basically this. This is the first phase, 32 unit phase of the residential single-family homes.
And how many total single-family homes will there be?
I have to go back and look at these numbers. On the north side of 98, there is a total of 154 residential single-family homes.
So this is the first 32 of 150?
Correct. And that's assuming that. That is the build out. That's assuming everything gets built out. Correct.
So is the park, you said it's a public park,
Yes.
open community public park for everyone. but it looks like it's adjacent to the apartment complex. Is that wrong?
These are townhomes.
No, I'm talking above it. Above it. What is that above it?
Oh, these are wetlands. These are wetlands that were not permitted to be impacted.
No, I'm talking about the gray area, just about right there.
There.
That's purple. That's gray. Yeah, and black. Yeah. What is that there? I'm sorry.
These are apartments. That's a stormwater pond.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking, if you've got the park directly connected with the apartments, and how many apartments will you have?
So the first phase of the apartments, that was 216 units. That is here. The second phase of the apartments is 201 units. That is here.
So if you have 201 units, and you have a number of residents, that's pretty much going to occupy that acre park.
Well, this is just a phase of this is a park that is included in this phase. Part of this 216 unit apartment complex included a large park here with a walking path around it, had a dog park and everything. As we come in for additional phases, these public use park areas will be included as part of the development phases.
Thank you.
The public can access are not gated anywhere in there.
No, this would be completely available to the public. Doing public dedicated right away, it's public dedicated park.
And where else do you have stormwater ponds? You have the one up above the apartments.
Each phase, we have a large stormwater pond here, here, to there,
There's one by the 32, right?
Yeah, there's some here. This is the one for the 32 units right here. But each phase will have to have its own stormwater, meeting all the requirements for the environmental resource permitting.
Let me ask you a question here. I know you're ordinance 741. Down here on page 1 of that page, you have a bunch of concerns that are stipulations by the P&Z back when. Have these all been addressed? I.e. Traffic for single entry, boat ramp, movement, parking at the apartment, beach parking.
Yeah, so the issues that were brought up, that were put into that ordinance, I believe that San Joe is under the, or in the process. I don't know the status of that process of renegotiating, extending the lease to the city for the boat ramp itself and adding the expansion. One that I specifically can attest to and have personally accomplished or had my hands in is the safety permitting with the Florida Department of Transportation with the access connection permits. They're requiring safety upgrades, turn lanes, roadway widening, and such to alleviate the traffic concerns through here.
Okay. And you said also here briefly you talk about a lift station. You know, currently right now, in my opinion, is that the water pressure already stinks here in Mexico Beach. I think it's supposed to be 40 pounds per square inch or whatever it may be. I can probably only run one garden hose at a time. Now, and this is really a city issue, not necessarily your issue, but it will impact, obviously, once you start your construction and running for water pressure, as well as you can tell, the last 3 or 4 days, the flood runoff. I don't know how these other gentlemen are and ladies, but we had some flooded areas here in the last several days. So I hope all that obviously is going to be accounted. Probably won't impact too much on you because of the break in the canal. I guess those are some of my concerns. Is water pressure impact. Like I say, it already stinks as far as I'm concerned in Mexico City Beach right now, and I don't really see any improvement. And I've addressed this with the city administrator a while back, but obviously nothing has been changed or done. So I guess my big thing is all these stipulations that you said you were going to, or council had said, let's fix. I hope that's in your plans, because
They are
I
all-
don't see them in there.
They are in the process. I mean, what you see here is just a single phase of the larger picture of what's going on. It's just the 32 residential units. The previous phases, there was additional water line to be run to connect here at the plant. There were some improvements and upgrades to the public infrastructure here. Those phases are under construction, so the benefits of that haven't been realized yet. But the stipulations with the lease for the boat ramp and the parking, and looking at the expansion of the boat ramp parking area, the DOT permitting and investigation of the traffic concerns coming in from these developments, all those things are underway.
I'm under the impression that the lease has been extended for the boat ramp, so that's been finalized. I'll check on the water pressure and I'll follow up with you, sir.
Hey, Doug.
Yes, sir.
This has been an ongoing issue for probably about 4 years now, the water pressure on the far end of the beach. And talking to utilities guys, they've got 3 pumps. And the reason we've got low pressure down there is they only run one. If they would run more than 1 pump, we'd have adequate pressure down there.
Okay.
But they only run, at least I am told, they only run 1 pump. If they ran more, then we wouldn't have a problem.
Okay.
And the lift station has nothing to do with water pressure.
I will follow up with you.
Thank you.
I don't have the answer, but I'll get.
Yeah.
Bill, I was just looking that up, and the requirements I thought it was much higher. It's supposed to be between 45 to 80 PSI, and if you're below 30, that's considered a problem.
Yeah, I'm almost as far down into Gulf County as you can get. But I can tell you, I can run 1 water hose at a time. And
Yeah.
that 1 water hose, I haven't got enough pressure for my outboard motor to pee.
That's not good. I will look into that, sir.
Okay. Any other comments on what's before us here?
So you're primarily speaking in terms of the areas in red and not, I guess they'll already address any questions or concerns on road access to the apartments that you spoke of.
Correct. So the plan unit development, the overall planning level layout and concept, the PUD has been approved. And then as we come through with different phases, we go through the review process of the actual design with engineering plans, looking at water, wastewater capacity. We did prepare a report that identified a future point when upgrades would need to be made, but we have not reached that point. But primarily right now, the outline in red here, that is the phase of the development that is up for discussion and possible vote.
Now, that phase that you're talking about now, that's under development, and I think it was addressed way back when about boats being able to park or not park there. Is it an adequate place to put a boat next to a person's residence within that area? Or is he going to have to find a boat storage facility?
Alex, they're on 5-foot easements
Yeah.
between each house, so you're not going to get
No, that's,
anything too big between the houses
No, that's
by the time
right.
you get air conditioning.
so what, is there going to be a plan by the city to accommodate that, or is that a commercial issue? I mean, that's going to be a real issue. I mean, Mexico Beach is here for the beach as well as fishing and boating. I mean, if you limit that, then we're not planning very well.
I don't disagree with you, but I want to point out, we had this discussion about that development that was coming off 15th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing in our regulations or requirements anywhere in the comp plan or the LDR. There's nothing in there that says that they need to provide places for boat parking. Now, what the city council did, we approved that development off 15th Street. Now I've forgotten how many homes it was, in the range of 20 to 30. And the city council then took it upon themselves to deny that because they didn't provide boat parking, which resulted in us getting sued. You know, because if you don't have it in your regulations and requirements somewhere or address it in some way, then we can't require it and we can't deny people the right to do this. So, you know, I think what you say is true, and certainly, you know, it's a valid concern, but at the same time, we don't have a mechanism for enforcing that. It's just not in here. So, you know, that's a problem for us. You know, and
Sounds like that's an opportunity to update, have our documents, make sure it's current and it represents the direction that we want to see the city go.
well,
Well,
No,
they're
that's
also,
a
they're
lengthy
also
process.
private boat storage lots. I don't know that the city has to be responsible for necessarily doing it, but there are other places that people can pay to place their boat.
There's nowhere in your property concerning for a storage area
No, we don't have anything laid out specifically for boat storage.
in the entire P.
In the entire PUD. The only thing, you know, really that I can address with that issue is just the expansion of the existing boat parking. That's more of a concern with the public use, but there's not a dedicated any kind of boat storage area within the planned unit development.
Okay, I have a question about the commercial development.
Yes, sir.
What have you got planned, or is there any feelers from anybody on what's going to be part of commercial?
I have not been privy to that. We do. All I can say is that basically they're a combination of they're office spaces. So we have commercial office spaces here, commercial office space there. There is commercial office and lodging on the south side. More specific than just that, because that's the level of detail we went into for the calculations and such for the planned unit development with demands and infrastructure. More specific than that, I'm not really privy to.
Well, the thing is that concerns me, and it has been since I lived here.
Sure.
We keep building houses, we keep allowing, we have no grocery stores, we have no commercial property. Now, I believe St. Joe owns some property on 386, is that correct?
I'm sure. I don't know specifically
They
what their profile
You're talking
is.
about
Well,
electrical. Yeah.
Somebody at some point is going to have to get in here and start talking about commercial property. If we're bringing in hundreds of houses, we don't have a grocery store. I mean, this is just getting insane.
And
Let me-
we're using a lot of our commercial properties for residential.
Well,
Here's
that's
the
what I'm
problem.
saying. There is, I believe, the Joe Company, I'm not sure, owns a big strip of property on 386 in the side of Mexico Beach. Now, it's big enough you could put $6 Generals on it, but don't do that. Go, you know, you guys need to partner with Piggly Wiggly or somebody to bring in some commercial development, because the city's really worked with you guys on this.
Here's the problem we have, because I looked into this, looking into some other things that were going on. We actually have a fairly decent amount. It's actually like 12% is designated commercial property. The problem we have is that if it's designated commercial property and somebody buys it, they can use it for anything they want. And that's what the problem is. What we need to do is clean up, and you know, you're correct, we have some problems with our requirements, and we need to clean up some of this stuff. Because it's so much easier for a developer to come in, buy a piece of commercial property, put residential houses, sell them, and leave.
Okay,
And that's what they're doing.
but you have to
So,
look at it from a different perspective. If I own 4 acres of property over here that's
Right.
run commercial, I'm gonna make a hell of a lot more money
I understand.
selling houses, and you can't pull the rug out from under me at this stage.
No, I agree.
Now,
Now,
so what you're saying is a moot point. We've got open property over here where we could develop retail businesses. That's what we need to focus on. Because what you're saying is pie in the sky stuff that we can't do anything about at this point.
You can always do a
Unless
moratorium.
she works on the code.
Lorraine?
It's suggested for the code change.
This issue, even before you came on the committee, I dealt with this like 5 years ago. I actually went up and down 98, 23rd or 15th, counting commercial properties had been turned into residential properties. At that time, we only had 4 commercial properties that were used as commercial properties, and we had 2 vacant. And I got up in front of the city council and hemmed and hawed, stamped around for half an hour, and they didn't care.
Yeah, I can see that.
The numbers that I remember, we had Alara, the consultant, that helped us rework the comp plan, the
I read
LDR. And I don't, maybe my memory's off, but I remember 5% commercial.
You're correct.
And 95%
You're correct.
residential. And she said the typical healthy community was 1585.
Right, that's correct. That was, Alara, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, at this point, we've got what we've got, and we have to figure out something. We can't keep adding houses and there's no infrastructure. I mean, it doesn't make financial tax sense to the city to do that. I mean, there's so much more tax money that would come in from a commercial development.
Before you could do anything with that, you'd have to change both the comp plan and the LDR to require commercial property
Right.
only be used for commercial purposes.
I agree, Jim. And like I said, though, if you do that now, what do you do with all the current property owners? Do you just say, hey, guys, I'm sorry, you can't
They're
develop?
grandfathered in. Just
Yeah,
like
that's
they are
right.
after
I
life.
don't think that's the problem. I think we could do it. I'm not sure that the city council would support it, but that's really
No, they
what,
will.
This council wants.
but that's what we really need to do, is we need to really address the issue. And the only way to do that, and the only way to stop them from doing what they've been doing all these years, is to change it. That's the only way.
Well, you just identify a moratorium for a short period, concentrate on the solution to the problem, and then your moratorium expires. I mean,
When we reviewed the
That's
comp
the
plan, Jim and I argued this ad nauseum. We tried to fix it so that the commercial would remain commercial. And we
Yeah.
argued the pros and cons back and forth for meeting after meeting. Ultimately, it was decided that the commercial had to stay like it was so that residential could be built in it, and we have continued to have the same issues.
Exactly.
And will continue, but the people who have already got the commercial property and put houses on it, of course, that, you can't do anything about it. However, going forward, the comp plan and the LDR probably need to be reviewed for that again, because yes, there are many of us who believe that commercial should be commercial. Else, what is the point of having zoning?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, that's a recommendation that you could make as a committee to the council. If that's,
Right.
that's out of it, if that's how it gets done.
Yeah, well, this isn't anything new. We hashed it and rehashed it. And, you know, right now, commercial property is worth more as a residential property than it is commercial, because it's the cart before the horse. You gotta have the people to support the commercial, and right now, we don't have the people. So as these develop and happen, I think we need to get ahead of it. I agree, have some designated commercial, make sure it's commercial and stays commercial. And we can look into that. But right now, I want to focus on the units that's before us. That's what's on the agenda. Move forward from there.
I have a couple questions about sewer and about one of the roads, if I may.
Sure.
Okay. First, let me ask about the road. If I'm reading that correctly, and all I had to go on was that teeny tiny one on my computer, so I'm not sure.
Sure.
It appears that there will be a new boat ramp road starting at the foot of the bridge on the west side. And my question is, you've got two immediate right-hand turns. Have you ever pulled a boat behind a big truck?
Sure. That was something that was part of the, the items that St. Joe said they were going to do is investigate the addition of a secondary entrance for that boat ramp road. Unfortunately, DOT basically came back and said that access cannot happen due to safety concerns, proximity of the bridge. specifically at that location because of the site triangle. Was just outside of that site triangle. We attempted to shift it closer to the existing connection, which is where this boulevard entrance will be, to eliminate the concerns with the site triangle. And then we were told that the driveways were too close together. So that was something, it is on here. I did not want to remove it because, like I mentioned before, nothing has changed for the layout or the plan here. But that is something that we approached DOT about and went round and round and round about, and we were basically told no on that.
So all that to say, the boat ramp road will still be the primary entrance to the thing.
On the east side of Salt Creek, that is correct.
So we're talking.
Until.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with the boat ramp.
Sure.
So I don't want to get up and come up there, but put your finger on the entrance, the main entrance right there. So that is going to be the boat ramp entrance? Is that what you're saying?
And the town has commercial, all that too.
And how are they going to access the boat ramp from there? Are they going to go all the way through, or are they on that?
No, we have there is an option to go all the way through and come in the backside of the parking with this layout, but it's the existing roadway going into the boat ramp is going to be maintained. So there's going to be some improvements here with the boulevard section, but immediately coming off of the boulevard section, essentially in the same footprint that road curves around and goes toward the boat ramp, that is going to stay as well. This is going to be another possible entrance.
So the existing boat ramp road as it is today, from Highway 98, curving around to the boat ramp, that is going to remain.
Correct.
And the rest of the boulevards pulls in there at the boat ramp road, but it's going to go up north and come somewhere else.
Right, so the existing entrance comes off 98 in the same location as the boulevard entrance.
Okay.
And then we're improving a short section, easy for me to say, of the boat ramp road to kind of tie it into the boulevard entrance, and then the existing road continues as is.
Okay.
And this boulevard continues around and ties into the future expanded boat ramp parking area.
Okay. That answers my question on the boat ramp road. Now, I have 3 questions about the sewer, if I may. Okay.
Is it related to the project here or the overall project?
Well, since the sewer is part of that, it's also related to the overall project, so I don't know how to answer you.
Okay, go ahead then.
I noticed in the information that you included in the packets from the February 2020 last meeting, the last big meeting where you got permission,
Yes, sir.
you said you were using Orange County standards. Do you remember? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And determining the per unit capacity.
Yes.
Yes.
Why are you using Orange County standards instead of Bay County standards?
That was what was determined based on this, land use and the items we're going to be proposing through here. I think we provided 250 gallons per day per unit, as opposed to, I think maybe some of the larger single-family residential, maybe over in Bay County, is 300 gallons per day per unit. That was what was proposed, and that's what was
Okay, just for reference, the Mexico Beach LDR states 250.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just very peculiar that you would use the South Florida standard for Bay County. The second thing is explain, because my math is completely different from your math. Explain how you figure that there is enough allotment capacity to handle any type of development other than what we already had. Now by that I mean, I think we've always been talking at odds here. when we talk about sewer capacity in town, we are referring to the gallons per day that we are allowed to send to the treatment plant. We're not talking about the size of the lift station, the size of the pumps, the size of the pipes. So we have a total of 473,000 gallons per day that we can send to the treatment plant. That's by contract with Bay County.
Yes, ma'am.
At the beginning of January 2018, we got our fire assessment, and they calculated that we had 1,892 residential units. And using the formula, both in the LDR and your figures, to establish the capacity, that used up all, just the houses that we had the day the hurricane hit, just residential, no commercial, no Beacon Hill customers, no anything else. We had used up our allotment that we could send to the county. That left us with just over 80,000 gallons, which had to be used for commercial and everything else. So, I cannot figure how you calculate that there is any more, because by those calculations, our allowed allotment, what we are allowed to send by contract, was used up several years ago. So explain to us how any of this development can add 150,000 gallons a day, and we're under our 473,000 gallons, because I don't believe it's there. So please, explain.
Okay, so this, I think we discussed this whenever we were going over the overall plan unit development. But how we approached this was we took the numbers for the year prior to the hurricane, and these are in the report. And we selected July 2018, so this would be a way of saying, assuming everything was still fully operational per, and July typically is your peak month for water and sewer flows. And we determined the monthly, we got the actual numbers for the wastewater flows generated by the city for each of those months. And we basically saw that for the month of July, over that month, that was the least amount of available capacity throughout the month. And we still had, for that month period, 2.638 million gallons total. That's not using the 0.473 million gallons per day. That's basically projecting that 0.473 million gallons per day over the entire month of July, comparing it to the actual wastewater that was generated by the city over the month of July to figure out what the available capacity would be. We basically came out and said that for that month, the available capacity for the city was 0.08793 million gallons per day. Then what we did was we took, let me turn this page, each phase of the plan unit development with the unit counts and figured out what the demand was in gallons per day. And we had figured out that once we hit a combination of different unit types and uses, where along the line that additional allocation would have to be granted by Bay County to the city of Mexico Beach. So that was kind of the process we went through. But like I said, after doing that calculation for the month of July 2018, we showed that there was still a capacity of 0.08793 MGD available based on the allocation from the city.
So basically it would use it up.
Not yet. Actually, I went through and did the calculations for this meeting with the 216 apartment units, the 42 unit townhomes, and then with these 32 units, there's still a 0.025 MGD capacity. So
Okay.
it is a running total. that we're, kind of keeping track of as discussions are moving forward with obtaining additional allocation capacity from the county.
Okay, that brings me to my final question. I noticed also in that information packet, the same one that we were just referencing, that it states we, meaning I guess St. Joe or Newberry one, are in negotiations with Bay County. My question is, who specifically, I mean by name, is negotiating with Bay County for a City of Mexico Beach utility, and which city representatives are in on these meetings? Because that's not anything that's been brought to the public, and our council doesn't seem to know about it.
That is something that's going to have to happen municipality to municipality. I'm not aware of specific names of those discussions. That kind of happens at a higher level than I do know that I spoke with some individuals with Bay County just asking what kind of possibility there would be. They are undergoing improvements to their AWT right now.
The military point?
Mm-hmm. They had hurricane damage, and they went through, in addition to fixing it, they were adding a bunch of different newer technologies to it. And so the hope is that those newer technologies, they'll be able to modify their permit to get additional treatment capacity approved by DEP by using those higher or more recent technologies. But specifics about that, I'm not aware of those discussions.
Okay, thank you.
But each phase that comes through, the current capacity that the city is using versus what is proposed has to be reviewed prior to signing off on each development order and the permit applications for the utilities.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Let's go back to what's before us. 32 residential units. Any more public discussion? Jim?
Since the city council fired me, I've kind of divested myself from getting involved in planning and city business and stuff. But looking at the packet that came out today, since I've got a ball in this court, and I was the one that developed these stipulations, I'd like to see it carried out. First of all, getting back to what Lisa had to say, we're talking about those units. It would seem to me that it would make more sense to have the capacity determine the agreement between Mexico Beach and Bay County approved, and we've got those gallons before we go ahead and start building that stuff. That's common sense. Again, plan for the worst, hope for the best. But now you're putting the horse in front of the cart in front of the horse. So that whoever's doing that should be approved. We should have that extra carrying capacity before we approve that thing. Okay, like I said, I've got kind of out of the loop, so I've got a couple of questions. If they've been answered, then just kind of bear with me a minute and humor me and answer them. First thing's for you. Okay, now, I understand changes have been made to the master plan, is that correct?
This is the approved PUD master plan that was approved back.
No, it is not. That road has changed, for one.
Which road are you referring to?
The access road,
This one?
that one, that's changed.
In what way?
There was always just one entrance in here with no offshoot. It was originally down here.
This is the offshoot to maintain the existing boat ramp?
Yeah, it was originally, everybody was coming in the boat ramp road. Is that not correct? Is that what you guys understood?
That was way back.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, since the approved, because
Right.
we did change this during the process when we were going through the meeting.
There's been several.
So you guys
Changes.
reviewed this and approved it?
Okay,
Okay.
and that's why it looks like it does.
Okay, so you've looked at this map and you've approved the map the way it is. Okay, has there been any other changes to the master plan?
There have been no changes to this master plan that has been approved.
I'm not talking about the map, I'm talking about the master plan itself.
Well, outside of just maybe the phasing is slightly different than what was originally planned. But our PUD report said phasing and construction scheduling and such is subject to the market and everything like that. But that's basically.
Has the master plan been changed to reflect those changes?
The report itself, or
The master plan itself, you said you've changed some phases. Okay,
Right.
has the master plan been amended to include those changes?
I mean, we could provide an updated, like, written report for that. Now, the phasing hasn't changed in terms of unit counts, it's just timing. So, because we had moved this phase of the apartment complex up here, this apartment complex was supposed to come in before these 32 unit residential. But because that was moved up here to the west side of Salt Creek and pushed up to the north to kind of keep it away from everything, that meant that basically now it's not feasible for them to pursue this before doing the 32 unit residential. So it's stuff like that. The phasing in terms of number and use for each of those units hasn't changed. It's just the timing and the expected order of when those were going to happen.
My understanding of the LDR, anytime anything's done, you guys got to approve it and then city council has to approve it, is that correct?
But I don't think the phasing's part of what you're talking about. The phasing's just we're gonna build a hotel 20 years from now. We're gonna do it in this phase. So there is their freedom to shuffle things around. The apartment should have already started.
Correct.
Based on the original
It started
schedule.
last
And I'm
week.
not the expert on this. I'm just going by what I've read and what I think.
Okay, addressing the boat ramp road, is there any problem with moving it further west?
Yes.
I mean, leave the original road for the boat ramp and then move your entrance further west. What's the problem with that? Does that sure alleviate the big problem down there at the bridge?
Well, once again, that's part of stuff that has been approved, but you talked about, the existing boat ramp entrance road is here,
Yes.
where we're putting the boulevard.
So why not put the entrance road to the complex further west?
Because that would be a spacing issue. So the same reason that we couldn't shift, we had placed this potential alternate access point for the boat ramp access road here. And due to the bridge, there was the barrier on the side of the bridge, there was a sight triangle issue for vehicles. So we tried to shift that further west and move it closer here.
That still wouldn't solve the problem. Does everybody agree with me? That wouldn't solve the problem?
Well,
It was just what we were asked to do. So we
Who
explored
asked you
that
to do
option.
that?
I mean, it was something that was requested for us to do as part of the agreement for the planned unit development. But to speak to your question specifically, if we split this off and made it a separate entrance and tried to shift that a little further west, we would not have the spacing between the driveway access points to meet DOT's requirements for spacing for safety concerns.
Move it further west than that?
We have Salt Creek here.
Well, you could put a bridge over Salt Creek. I mean, everybody in this room is aware of the problem that road right there is going to create. There are going to be traffic accidents out the kazoo, people honking, people mad. That was one of the main concerns I think everybody in this city had when this was first addressed. And, making another entrance right, 25 meters from that is not going to solve the problem.
Is there a drop lane or anything when you're heading west?
Sorry?
Is there a drop lane where you just stayed on?
No, there isn't.
No, not existing.
Is that proposed as part of this as a drop lane if you're going west?
So we're going through the final design process with DOT here for 98, but they're requiring, expanding center line widening of the road for dedicated left turn lanes, certain lanes. Right. So there's roadway widening, adding turn lanes and such, both from the east and the west to provide access. Those are all requirements of the DOT access connection.
So basically what you're telling us is that St. Joe's not willing to change the plan to make it a safer entrance into these facilities there.
Well, we had an approved plan, and part of that plan that was approved was evaluating a secondary access connection. All I'm saying is that is something that was done per the request of the commission and the council to see if that would be a possibility to help alleviate the concern. That was shot down by DOT. Other than that,
But did you address it further west? That's what I'm saying. If you changed your basic community planning out in here, DOT responsibility or requirements could be met.
All I can speak to is to say that
You're not
this-
willing to change it and make it safe. is what you're telling me.
That's not all I can speak to at this moment is to say that this is the plan overall for the plan unit development that was negotiated, reviewed, commented upon, and changes made and approved. I can speak with St. Joe about coming back and modifying the entire plan unit development, which would be required if we decided to shift things around, because now, shifting that changes everything around.
But could we work with DOT to have a safer entranceway into that one if we didn't mess with anything else, right?
Into this one?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing right now with the widening.
Doug, if you're familiar with that, that
I've seen that.
entrance,
I was there today.
that entrance, yeah, that entranceway is about 120 meters from the bridge. And when snapper season opens or anything opens, we've got boats parked along Highway 98, so you can imagine what kind of
That's why I was
bottleneck.
asking
And
about
that's-
the drop lane.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the genesis of this expansion area over here, was because that was a concern that was brought up when we brought the overall plan unit development that you see here, that was reviewed. That was part of the negotiation because that was a specific concern. We went out and looked at the trucks parked up and down along that access road, and this is a 1.78 acre expansion to the existing parking out there at the boat ramp. So that was part of that whole.
Where would this part over here be, this other road, connection road and all that, next June when snapper season starts kicking up again, right?
Well, I could say that the very beginning parts of construction on this, on the crossings,
So the road
has started.
The big outside roadway.
This roadway.
Right, yeah, all that, and then the drop off from the boat ramps.
It depends on when we get the DOT authorization. That potentially could be in place for next snapper season. Construction scheduling right now is a difficult animal to try to pin down with.
Well, at least the people could park inside of there as opposed to on 98, right? If you had that road a little bit more quickly now. No, it was looking.
It's going to be very congested, and I think, my concern is just all entrance ways coming off Highway 98.
Sure.
And I think that, there needs to be another cut through another road. Because if you were to have some type of emergency, then you can shut off access to every place. Because you have one road to get in, and that's Highway 98. And if not Highway 98, something happened on Highway 98, which would be a real disaster. But when Hurricane Michael hit,
Sure.
no one could get through 98. You had the road down here that was overturned. So to have any subdivision or community with only one access on one main road is not good for emergencies. And I'm surprised the fire department's not speaking about
So, let me ask a question. What we're talking about today, these 32 units, will they be accessing those homes through that road?
No, that's
Okay.
That's on the east side of Salt Creek.
That has nothing to do, what we're
These-
talking about here has nothing to do with what's on our agenda today.
Correct. These 32 units share one entrance with the townhomes that were previously approved, and have a second entrance further down here. So they tie into that east-west road of the townhomes, and there is an additional connection further to the west. They're on the opposite side of Salt Creek from the boat ramp access road.
The area that they're talking about to the boat ramp, access to the boat ramp road, how many units are going to be inside there?
We have
How much is going to be accessed?
216 apartments, and then 19 single-family residential, 40-unit townhomes, and some commercial.
And all of that's going to be on that one road. Access by that one road.
Yes. And that is specifically why we modified this plan during the process to take this second phase of the apartments, disconnect it from the other phase, and move it on the other side of the wetlands, was to reduce the amount of traffic on that road. But again, that is, on the east side of Salt Creek from the 32 units that we're discussing right now.
This is off that topic, but it was included in these negotiations. Beach access for for people on the north side of the development, and people to drive and park at the beach. Has that been addressed?
There's two other things that you haven't covered yet: the parking, the apartments, and the beach access. Right? Have you addressed those yet?
I mean, the beach access is in the plan, but
But you're going to have all this development, and you haven't said where that's going to come in, the beach access. Where is it?
we do not have that designed right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to have people walking with floats across Highway 98? Oh,
Well, that's not
Beach chairs and-
that's not the eventual plan. We had looked at the possibility of modifying, the access under the bridge to make it a pedestrian walkway that we could provide an access that way. But as far as access for this particular area across 98 for right now, we do not have that right now in our
okay.
design.
So that's one of the things.
Yeah.
So now we've talked about the parking and the beach access. The last thing is, and you have dealt with that, additional parking at the boat ramp. Right?
Okay, and my last question is for the board. I know that we've got 2 new members, but 3 of you are here that did this thing. Do you guys still care about the stipulations, getting those things worked out? Yes. Jack? Bill?
What stipulations are you talking about?
Talking about a safe access in there where the boat ramp is. Talking about safe access for pedestrian traffic to the beach. Parking, sufficient parking at the apartment complex. And having the additional 2 ramps and additional parking at the boat launch.
Well, it's in the ordinance.
Yep.
So we're certainly interested. I mean, we're the ones that required it and asked for it and got it in there. So what are you asking?
Well, it's not, I don't see it in the ordinance.
Oh, yeah, it's on
Yeah,
the
it's
bottom
right
of page 1 of
It's
7.
on page 1 at the bottom. You showed us that.
No, that just says that the planning and zoning board recommended that. That's not what the city accepted. The city was concerned about the same things, but they didn't put those stipulations in their approval.
That's correct, they did not.
Yes, city council.
I mean, again, stand up and argue for a half an hour, and they said, yeah, those are really major issues, but we've got to pass this thing now so St. Joe can get started.
The city council did not include those stipulations.
As concerned as they were about them, they didn't include them. So right now, you guys are the only ones apparently that are concerned about the stipulations being met.
Well, in the spirit of negotiation or whatever, you're working on all the items, correct?
Yes, the pedestrian access, I will have to get an update on that to see where we stand with that. But as far as all the other items, I believe that they are in the process of moving forward. The lease has been extended. The description and everything for the boat parking extension has been moving forward. We've been going through the negotiation process for the last 7 or 8 months with DOT about the driveway configurations. Everything is moving forward towards an end. Can I tell you exactly when each of those items will be completed? I really can't. I mean, it's a process going, like I said, 7 or 8 months of back and forth with DOT over a driveway connection. Certainly was not what I was expecting.
And you've done the leases completed?
Yes, I believe, yeah.
I was talking to Mario about that today.
Okay, good.
Okay, I yield.
So I hear you. We'd love to have the council. We ran into a similar issue with building height, where we all voted no against the 1.5 above the road, and the council went ahead and approved it. We're advisory, as you know, Jim. So if we can get it done by discussion and negotiation and get it done at this table, that's great. I don't think the council's gonna, I can't speak for the council, what they're gonna do. Obviously, they don't want to do it if they didn't do it already. The main thing is to get it done. Looks like we're on a path, a good path to make it happen.
Okay, I'll yield if anybody else wants to speak with a stipulation that I get to address you guys again before you go into discussion.
Okay, well, we're ready to hear. We want to move forward on the 32 residential units that we're here to talk about. Do you have anything else, Jim?
No, I just want to address you guys before we
Okay.
start talking about the 32.
Okay. After we talk about the 32?
Before you vote, before you have your discussion.
Okay, all right. So anybody else, public, to talk about the 32 other than Jim wants to talk to us before we go? Anybody else?
I would suggest very strongly that nothing else be approved until all of our questions, all of our concerns are answered. I don't think it is fair to the people of Mexico Beach to keep adding things to this when we have so many important questions. And I know that we're up against the St. Joe Company, but that really should not matter, because they are putting in something that is going to affect every property owner in Mexico Beach. That's about 2,400 of us. It's going to affect public safety. And while the Planning and Zoning Board almost always has the right angle to things and the council does not listen, I still believe that y'all need to keep pushing to make a point that this is not a safe plan. It is not an appropriate plan because questions still remain. So I'm urging you not to approve anymore.
So noted. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to close the public portion.
I've got something.
Public portion's been closed. We will open it back up for Jim to
No, that's
say his last piece.
Public discussion's been closed. Jack, if you agree with that, will you move that be accepted?
Okay, so we're here at the board discussion. Does anybody on the board have any further questions or anything we should talk about? As regards to this 32 unit residential, which is on the agenda, not the PUD, not the master plan.
Right.
This is on the agenda.
I wanted to ask Gina, these, obviously, they meet the city's requirements and all that.
Yeah.
Do you get involved with traffic? Do you get involved with access roads when, or are you specifically dealing with a structure? Well, I mean, if somebody wants to come in and build 30 houses, that's your concern. Your concern is not the streets. That comes from somebody else. Is that right?
Well, it depends on the situation, like the Corey property, where they came in and they were wanting to develop that piece of property. I reviewed their traffic study. I did. Also, Dewberry was going to review it, and then that project died again. So yes
Okay.
and no, I guess.
Okay, so, but from the building department's perspective, this 32 units are okay with the flow it is right now?
Yes, I reviewed the plans. The roads meet all the city's criteria, the stormwater, all the utilities, the lots, the lots, they have the 5-foot setback, which was approved by PUD, so it's not city, but it's because it's part of this PUD, that's fine. Everything's
So everything meets the guidelines? Okay, thank you.
Good question.
I've got a question. On here, our requirements say there's a minimum land area for recreational vehicle parking, should be 8 acres. Does that include this particular development?
Is that under a PUD?
General, it says site design requirements.
is that specifically addressing like an RV park type
Yeah.
land use?
Under PUD, there is a pretty lengthy paragraph about what's required, and part of it is percentage for recreational use. And I can't remember whether it's.
This is under subdivision regulations.
Mhm.
Well, and that's why, you know, we have the parks coming through with each use. We have the parks with the apartment complex. We have the 1.5 acre park. It's the recreational use component of the planned unit development.
This is strictly about parking recreational vehicles. It's
The
under
PUD's what you want to look at.
Okay.
And I didn't bring my book, but
Okay.
I know we reviewed the recreational percentage before when we looked at the master plan, and you were well
Yeah.
exceeding that requirement based on what that was.
Y'all are talking about two different things.
Right. Anybody else on the board have any thoughts or? I guess in reference to the concern expressed by the public, which I think is good, you can kind of see where we are as a planning zone advisor, planning zone board, advisory, whatever, and we were very strong on trying to get these stipulations completed and done as part of the process. It's in the ordinance, but as lawyer Jim's pointed out, it's not a specific requirement. So is there anything you could give us that would make us feel more comfortable that you're going to follow these and that they aren't going to get lost after we go into the wind and it's 5 years down the road or whatever? Obviously, you've done a good job so far. You're looking at particular items, but from a business standpoint, a board that you're going to see again and again, each phase comes up. What can you give us? What would you feel comfortable giving us to make us feel better about that?
Let me define the specific wording in this report. We actually did. We added sections in the report that was approved as part of the PUD master plan that addressed some of the concerns. I'm trying to find that section. I may have only printed out the utility section. Okay, I only printed out the concurrency related utility items, but we actually in that regard and seeing that as something we potentially might have to address in the future, I spoke with Bridget, and the final revision to the PUD report prior to
Who's Bridget?
Bridget from St. Joe Company. I apologize. We did actually kind of memorialize some of those items that were brought forth as things that. So, you know, we have language on page 4 of the approved report that went through with the PUD master plan that addresses, you know, at the time of approval, Mexico Beach Town Village PUD issuance of development order phase 1. St. Joe will work with the city to modify boat ramp lease to add approximately 2.28 acres of land as identified in the PUD master plan. Then there's another item that will begin design, engineering, and permitting efforts for new dedicated access to the boat ramp area. Modify the boat ramp lease to extend the term. Boat ramp lease to include the expanded parking. We'll work with the city to provide temporary gravel parking for beach access to the south side of 98. So, you know, those concerns that were put forth by you guys have been kind of memorialized in this report. I mean, I don't know if that carries any weight since this was the official report that was filed with the planning and development prior to approval. But these are items that are ongoing. You know, they take some negotiation in terms of, you know, certain items like the permitting of the boat ramp access road, things like that. You know, be happy to provide something else to you guys, but as far as the commitment in the formal report that's on file for the plan unit development, they're in there, and I can tell you they're continuing efforts to move forward. The lease has already been addressed. Not
Right.
quite sure what else,
Yeah.
but we'd be willing, whatever is needed.
I guess what I think would be helpful is for you or your St. Joe, whoever, to meet with Doug and get something hammered out on that level that would be concrete. And I think it would be helpful if you had some dates attached to some of those. We understand with DOT and whatever those dates might move, but I think if we put some target dates in that document, whatever that might be, and this might be a one-page addendum to the report, or whatever that you're talking about, I think that would be very helpful to have those, because people change on this board. You might go on to bigger and better things, and we want to have this something that stays in front of the team meaning the city and St. Joe Development and Newberry, that would stay focused on that. So
Absolutely.
I just like you to ask the board, I think representing the board, if that's okay, to do that. I see nods. And we just as a courtesy would like you to meet with Doug, get that set up, and then come back, bring it back to us so we can kind of know where it is, what it is, and whatever. And I think that'd be a great start.
Bill, can we formally put together something and pass the city council, separate from this 32-thing it's on our agenda tonight, requesting them to relook at all this stuff and make sure can we suggest what
Sure,
you just did?
we can always suggest, absolutely. We can do that. Let's get it on the agenda for.
But all right, what I'm saying is suggested in a formal way.
Right.
So that, it's not just a phone call to Doug. I want the city council to see all this.
Well, I think what I feel like we're trying to do is get something written down on paper that we're all comfortable with, and then let's take that to the council.
Okay.
And say, here it is. We'd like this to be a part of the flood application.
So we can make that our future agenda item.
Yes.
We can do a workshop or something where we can really look at this.
I think we need to let them ban our back and get close before we get involved.
Well, the thing is, we agonized all this.
Right. We've got
and we
them.
made the
And
recommendation.
it was ignored, right?
And it was ignored. So I think we need to, in my opinion, we need to raise the level of awareness. And remember, I think most of the city council is different than when we approved this.
No.
No,
No?
they're
They're all the same?
one difference.
One?
Okay,
Two.
I think there's two, yeah.
There's two.
All right, but anyway, we agonized over this. We made these recommendations. There were 5 of them. They're on the bottom of page 1, and they continue on to page 2. And somehow we need to frame this to get attention from the city council to say, look, you gave this to us once, and we made these recommendations, and you haven't followed through on them, and we still have concerns with these 5
The
items.
public has concerns.
Mr. Chair, if I can.
Yeah, Doug.
I'd definitely be glad I can work with them to make sure we get something back to you before your next meeting. Even if it's a list of bullets, identifying your concerns, and then you can give more information should I need to formalize a document that can be put on the agenda for the council meeting. Does that suffice?
That
Give me a
does,
chance to get
but-
my hands wrapped around everything that
Right.
we're doing, and I'll work with the company, and we'll get back to you guys before the next meeting with some sort of document back to you for review and comment, etc.
Yeah, I would like something that we can literally vote on.
Well, at least we can get it to you, and you can
Right.
make changes to it and decide how you want to proceed. Yes,
Right,
sir.
it should follow what's in this ordinance.
I understand.
Pretty well, that's what we agreed to, that's what was,
Yeah, that's it.
in fairness to us
Status
and
of
to
where this
them,
is and-
we shouldn't be moving the ball as we're moving through this process.
I absolutely understand. We'll work on that to get that back for you before your next
And
meeting.
we've talked about most of these, but maybe I missed it. But did you speak to the last one, which was canal traffic from additional anticipated boats? Has that been discussed in any rooms that you've been in?
I have not heard discussions about that. I know that, with the Army Corps of Engineers and DEP kind of going through flux right now with different legislations and jurisdictions, that might have kind of hit a stall. But I haven't been aware of. I'm just speaking from experience with other projects that kind of hit a standstill with everything. But
And I know
I can get an update on that, and we can discuss that with Doug.
it is not a part of the 32 and tonight, and I get that. But the reason that I don't want to let that one get off the table, I'm a voter, and I experienced this, and it doesn't feel safe. I went out that canal Friday. I grew up here, and that canal was sand from bank to bank, and it was a narrow canal then. Well, now permanent boats have. The charter boat Miss Mary sticks out in the canal. When I pass another boat, it's scary, and we're going to have a lot more boats, and we're going to have people that aren't used to driving boats. So, my question is this: if we're going to address it or study it, I guess the way DOT works is at some point you have a daily traffic count that will tell you need additional lanes. Does something in the maritime assessment show you that this is safe or unsafe?
And let's not forget the Corey property is going to bring in 215 homes with boats. Each one of them's got boats with front.
Wasn't there a time that, excuse me,
They
just,
can.
that we did some kind of
170.
counting of boats or trailers down there at the boat ramp?
That sounds familiar.
What
There
now?
was something
It
done. I remember way back, there was a time when we were talking about this issue, and there was a request for somebody to go down there and count boats. Ask Mario.
Yeah, I do remember
Because somebody
something
had to
like
go
that.
count
They did.
boats.
Somebody had to physically. go
Somebody
count
from
them.
Dewberry went
Yeah,
to count
I think so.
boats.
Yeah.
I've counted them on a busy weekend, and there's more than 100.
Yeah, but I mean, this was official.
I'm not suggesting that you widen the canal and say that can happen, but at some point, is there an assessment that says, this is the limit? Does the Coast Guard do that? Does someone do that says, this width of a waterway shouldn't have any more than a certain number to it?
Right. I thought you were maybe discussing about the dredging and things of that nature.
No, it's just
Capacity of flow. Okay.
No, we're talking about canal traffic. I mean, it's already a traffic jam at times. And you're at the Corey property and this, and it's going to be.
That'll be one of our bullet points. We'll get you an update.
All right, good. All right, back to the 32 on the agenda. Any other discussion from the board?
Yes.
Questions?
What are the plans for the 32? Are they to sell 32 individual lots or build 32 homes like happening in Windmark? Do you know that?
Oh, it's going to be. They're not in the business of selling individual lots. It's going to be a single home builder. I can't speak to which home builder that is. They work with different ones for different developments, but it's going to be a cohesive single home builder that comes through.
What will these homes look like? Do you have any plans in your drawings?
I do not have any kind of architectural mock-ups of what the actual structures are going to look like.
1,500 square feet or 2,000 or.
I would have to look and see what our
Can-
allowable.
can we ask that they do that?
Minimum, we meet the minimum lot size. For,
Sure, I have to fit the lot, but
Sure.
most conceptual developments that come in sort of give you an idea, maybe just some renderings of this is what the homes are going to look like. They did that down a place across from Toucans and others that would seem a reasonable request just to see what's coming.
But if the home builder hasn't been assigned yet,
Yeah,
we're not gonna have any.
they're not going to have.
You can base that on the size of the lot, right? How big a house look at that?
Was involved in.
Unless you have a greater vision
something
and you
purely
share with that home
shop
builder,
and start.
here's what we're thinking, do you offer this product?
They can do whatever they want.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a little confused as to where we are now.
We're had something on the agenda, which is 32 residential units. In order to move this along in the process, we have to vote yea or nay, and it goes to the council.
When will it go to the council?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yeah.
That'll be tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It is not on the agenda for tomorrow.
It's not, it's not on the agenda for tomorrow.
It's not. It's not.
So we need to do something.
You know, one way or the other, we either need to approve it or disapprove it.
Well, at this point, there's a lot of open questions that, to me, seems a little bit early. You know, there needs to be more info. I'd like to know what these places are going, which it doesn't, I mean, they gotta be by regulation. So,
You know, no offense, but that's,
that's their business.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it is and it isn't.
Well,
It has
yeah.
to meet the community.
It's gotta be the standards, we know that.
Right, so it fits in with the neighborhood and stuff like that, absolutely.
Like it says, this is to begin construction of these 32 units. Why don't we know what these 32 units are going to be?
And I will check with St. Joe and see, they may have a home builder under contract, even though no single family homes have been approved in this area. And they may have kind of an idea of what style they're going to, I will find that out. That's discussion that happens way above my level.
Right.
And I will bring that before the council and to answer the concerns about our.
They can build, they can't build over they gotta build 2,800. I mean, this is a 7,000 square foot home. So 40% of that is,
Actually, I think it's 60%.
What do you mean, what, 70? It's 70% impervious, that would start.
okay.
Because it's a PUD.
So they can build some fairly big houses.
Well, they still have to stay within the setbacks.
Yeah, but I mean, even that.
60%.
60%.
And that impervious would include any,
Theirs says
driveway.
60, I think the regulations say 70.
So I have that noted as a bullet to bring that back to you as well.
Yeah.
Designs, if you have any kind of ideas at all, we'll get that on there as well.
Okay?
Just,
And Dave, you are right, there's been other developments that we've seen some photos of, or some ideas of what they were gonna look like, to give us a concept. But I understand from the developer side where you are on that. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve or disapprove the 32 residential units with 2 entrances, sidewalks, meeting the setbacks of the PUD and the impervious ratio of the PUD?
I make a motion to approve it, given that Doug is going to work with Dewberry and try to bring some of these stipulations back to the table.
Jack, are you up, Lorraine? Look at that thing I gave you.
I passed it around, I didn't.
Yeah, I've got it right here, you know.
I think based on these 32 units.
Did you end up?
I access to them. I just
Wrote that I
said-
thought we had already processed.
Okay,
We
so we have
all
a-
went through those items, right?
Tim, we've got a first.
I mean, I don't know
And a
what
second.
more we can do other than stipulate it again to council and then just say, go away. What we should do
So
that.
you can open it up for any discussion and then.
We had a discussion. So we're gonna vote.
So we have a second.
We did have a second. Okay, call a roll.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Miss Lindsay?
No.
Mr. Kerrigan?
Yes.
Mr. Driver?
Yes.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Miss Ward?
Can I abstain?
I don't think she votes because she's an
We
alternate. She's an
don't know what you think.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Okay.
I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself right now.
Okay.
The first vote we ever had was for Children's Fund.
I know.
All right. So-
So.
Motion's approved. You're gonna get with Doug,
Absolutely.
get something down in writing with some target dates, with some teeth, it's something we can take to the council and ask for to continue to be a part of this project. And we appreciate your patience and your understanding and your answering the questions. And we understand that. Okay. That's all on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about? It's all good discussion. We're all trying to make where we live better, and we appreciate that. That's the way the board and the public should work.
I will say, now that we've done our business, I think we still need to look at commercial property because it comes up time after time after time. I understand how much easier it is to build houses and sell them and be done, but that's not building our community, and we need to address this issue.
Okay.
So,
Like to have it on the agenda for the
To go
next
to the
meeting?
grocery store, we gotta go.
Is there someone designated to try to bring business into Mexico Beach that's
well,
within government? No,
Yeah.
not necessarily.
Have you been to town hall? There's not a lot of bodies over there.
There are, there's not enough mom and pop.
I'm just I'm just trying to get a feel. I'm very involved with Fort Walton Beach, so I'm listening and kind of thinking through and
we
comparing
have
stuff.
tourist development. Who is that?
No. There is no one assigned in City Hall to handle that. Years and years ago, there was a Mexico Beach Chamber of Commerce, but not in the last maybe 40 years.
No, I mean someone. There wasn't a chamber here when I was here last time. And
There is no
Here
one
before,
who
so-
works on economic development within the city administration.
Okay, that's what I was wanting. Okay,
Well,
so no EC.
That will fall under some things that I'm working on. And I have a meeting with the county manager on Wednesday
Okay.
to go over some items with him on what the Economic Development Council for the county does and sees for Mexico Beach. So whether that is commercial, residential, industrial, whatever it is.
I don't think county and we usually see eye to eye.
No.
Well,
if I'm
I have,
correct.
coming from county government, I understand how that side of it works and what those folks do there. So I want to see what their vision is and then bring that back to the council and then meet with them and let them know. Some things are like they already know, but maybe there's been some changes or some ideas or like you said, 2 new board members want to do something. I'm in the middle of that. So
So
that would be somebody like me, man, that would be starting that process and then the staff, we would work on that
So
together.
no EDC at the moment is what I was trying to figure out. Okay.
The county has that, but
When we were rewriting the comp plan, we noticed what was going on with businesses and commercial aspect. And we were told at that time that by several people that Mexico Beach has a really bad reputation as not being business friendly. There are several people that have looked at doing things here and decided to go elsewhere.
Interesting.
That is
Okay.
interesting.
That is interesting.
Do you want to put commercial on the agenda for next month?
Sure.
Okay, so be it.
so before you move on with that, what kind of report, what kind of item would you like back? What could I help you with? Some stats or something of that nature?
Well, that's what I was going to say. It would be helpful, I think, if you could give us currently how many businesses in town, what percentage.
So in the future, those are kind of things you can assign to me, and I'll make sure that we get something back, so we don't just come in this room and talk about it for what we think
Is
about.
it
What we
5%?
think is
Is it
probably should have that.
Yeah, we have
It's
it.
volunteer. This is volunteer. Why can't that be volunteer?
Yeah.
Right, but just provide me with direction of what you'd like to see come back, and then you guys can take it from there also. But that, so I understand what you're looking for. So I would
Yeah,
start
we
with some
want to
stats.
know where we are today,
Understood.
and then we can talk about whether we need to modify the LDR and the comp plan and put some teeth in trying to keep commercial, which we're going to need, whether it makes sense now or not. But in the future, with additional homes, we're going to need commercial, and it's probably going to be a reverse trend where you start seeing residential taken down to make them commercial, if we ever get to that point.
All right. Well, I'm one of those people that brings back. I don't come back empty-handed. I come back with options and some ideas. I don't just throw it in your lap. So I'll get back to you. If I have any questions, I'll reach out.
Right. I think Jeannie can get you up to speed on what's happening.
She can probably fill me thinking questions right now.
Where we are, and what the challenges have been. Okay.
For the past 3 years, I have listed in the Beachcomber all 50 of the storefronts that we had. I can't hope you y'all don't know.
Do you need a motion to adjourn?
We do.
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Thanks for coming. Sure.
These guys don't be